So I'd like now to introduce Robin. So Robin Ali is the director of this accelerator. He's also deputy director of the Biomedical Research Centre, and it'll be integrally linked. So welcome, Robin, and have a great time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Charles. I just want to start off by reflecting on drug development and biopharmaceutical product development. And at the end of the 20th century, that's to say just 20 years ago, there were only a handful of biopharmaceutical products on the market. The vast majority of drugs were small molecules developed by compound screening. And today, 50% of approved products are biopharmaceuticals. For instance, vaccines, recombinant proteins, or monoclonal antibodies. And currently, only a small fraction of these approved biopharmaceuticals are advanced therapies, by which I mean gene or cell therapy products. But I really believe that over the next decade, this is going to change dramatically, and advanced therapies will start to follow the path of monoclonal antibodies. And these were first developed in 1975. It then took 25 years before the first monoclonal antibody, rituximab, was approved for clinical use. This is an anti-CD20 antibody used in oncology and rheumatology. And monoclonal antibodies are now a mainstay of the pharmaceutical industry and are regarded as rather conventional drugs. And so it's difficult to remember that 20 years ago, there was quite a lot of skepticism about the utility of monoclonal antibodies and great concerns about their cost. But now these costs have come down dramatically, and we even have generic biosimilars. Gene and cell therapies are certainly more complex than antibodies to develop and manufacture, but we can start to see some parallels emerging. The very first gene therapy clinical trial was carried out in 1990, and this was for X-linked severe combined immune deficiency. And this condition became one of the first for which there's an approved gene therapy product when, in 2016, the European Medicines Agency, EMA, approved Strimvelis. Now, this took 25 years, a number of iterations, many different academic groups, and a major pharmaceutical company to develop a highly effective advanced therapy. But this is now one of many. And to date, there have been over 2,500 gene and cell therapy trials worldwide, and the EMA have approved around 20 advanced therapies, and the FDA approved 10. But recently, the FDA said that by 2025, they expect to approve 25 advanced therapies per year. So it would seem that advanced therapies are coming of age. And these are not just fancy technologies, but are providing effective treatments for otherwise untreatable conditions. To date, most advanced therapies have been developed for rare inherited diseases and relatively rare forms of cancer. And some of these approved therapies are being used at GSTT. So Guy's is the main centre in the UK for the use of gene therapy for head and neck cancer. And just a few weeks ago, a baby with spinal muscular atrophy, or SMA, received what is very likely to be a life-saving gene therapy at the Evelina Children's Hospital. People tend to view advanced therapies as providing expensive treatments for rare conditions. Although a treatment might be very expensive, and Zolgensma gene therapy for SMA has a list price of £1.8 million, this does not necessarily mean that it's not cost effective. The cost of taking care of a child with immune deficiency, or SMA, is very, very high. And whilst gene therapies for rare disease provide exemplars for the technology, advanced therapies, I believe, can and will play an important role for common disorders and in mainstream medicine. Let's just take the Oxford University AstraZeneca and J&J COVID-19 vaccines. These both use adenoviral gene therapy vectors. In fact, the BioNTech And Moderna COVID-19 vaccines also use a type of gene therapy in the form of mRNA. And these are the first vaccines to use advanced therapies. And before they proved to be so effective, there was some doubt, considerable doubt, as to how well they would work. So in fact, these COVID vaccines are the first mass use of advanced therapies. They've been proven to be effective and affordable. However, it needed huge investment to roll out so quickly, and undoubtedly the COVID pandemic supercharged their development. But I think the success of these vaccines will actually help to accelerate the advanced therapies field in many different ways. So I've spent most of my career developing advanced therapies, both gene and stem cell therapies. And so I find great satisfaction in seeing how the field is now growing exponentially. Many years ago, when I was starting out, I was advised by several well-meaning, eminent professors to abandon gene therapy research, as they were convinced that it would never work. And out of a concern for my career, they urged me to develop a more conventional research interest. Well, of course, I ignored their advice, and I now have the great honor of leading the Advanced Therapies Accelerator. And such a center would have been inconceivable 20 years ago. So why do we need an Advanced Therapies Accelerator? Well, with a few notable exceptions, advanced therapies have been developed primarily in clinical academic centers. Often there have been multiple iterations before achieving success in clinical trials. And whilst the optimization and scale-up required to take products through to patients requires commercialization, and it's vital to have commercial involvement, it's clear that clinical academic centers have been the major drivers of the primary innovation. And I think this is likely to continue for some time and is needed for the development of advanced therapies. So KCL, GSTT, BRC has been at the forefront of the development of cell therapies, including CAR T cell therapies for cancer, T regulatory cells to inhibit transplant rejection, and the use of monocytes for the treatment of acute respiratory distress syndrome in post-COVID patients. And you'll hear about some of these therapies later. KCL is also one of the largest manufacturers of gene therapy vectors in Europe. And a number of cell and gene therapy companies, including Lucid, Quell, Gamma Delta, and Neurogenius, have been spun out of KCL and the BRC. So there's already world-leading expertise and a critical mass of investigators who are working on advanced therapies. The accelerator has been developed to provide state-of-the-art infrastructure and comprehensive support for the translational research in order to accelerate the development of cell and gene therapies within the BRC and to widen the portfolios of therapies and disease indications. It will support the development of advanced therapies all the way through from preclinical proof of concept to the subsequent delivery of phase 1 clinical studies and through to commercialization. The accelerator is operationally managed by the BRC with Sean Cochran as Director of Operations. It comprises the BRC's genomic and immune monitoring and flow cytometry platforms, as well as a GMP manufacturing facility and space for process development activities. There's also a clinical research facility and a clinical trials management platform that are experienced in supporting advanced therapies from late preclinical to early phase trials. We also have 3 commercial laboratories with associated office space that are available for use by spin-out and startup companies, and this commercial activity is managed in close collaboration with the Cell and Gene Therapy Catapult. We're not intending the accelerator to be a static center. It needs to adapt to the needs, evolving needs and technologies. And over the next couple of years, we'll be adding new platforms and infrastructure, including a biomaterials and IPS platform, as well as a major expansion of GMP facilities for both cell and gene therapies. And these will provide GMP AAV gene therapy vector manufacturing to complement our lentiviral vector capabilities. And our new cell therapy clean rooms will allow us to manufacture embryonic stem cell derived cell therapy products for use in clinical trials. And these facilities will allow us to expand the King's Health Partners Advanced Therapies programs considerably. There are now plans for exciting new CAR-T and gamma delta T-cell therapies to treat solid tumours. Other cell therapies will include ES-derived cell transplantation to repair the retina following macular degeneration, and hepatocyte transplantation to treat liver failure. There will also be trials of gene therapy for spinal cord repair, motor neuron disease, retinal disorders, and blistering skin conditions. And these are just some examples, and I could list many more. So in short, the accelerator will bring together the very best science and clinical expertise from across the whole of King's Health Partners to deliver a wide range of innovative therapies with the potential to transform healthcare.